Hi, I'm Melanie Barajas with the North Central Educational Service District. In celebration of National School Nurse Day, we want to share some reflections on school nursing by two of our regional school nurse experts, Lenore Lowe and Ellen Bush from Quincy School District. Both Lenore and Ellen will be retiring at the end of the school year, and they have graciously volunteered to participate in this recorded session. Ellen and Lenore, please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your backgrounds and your years of school nursing service for the Quincy School District.
So I'm Lenore, and I guess this is my 40th year in nursing, and my first 12 were spent in hospital nursing, and it was rural hospital nursing, so it was anything could come through the door, a heart attack to a baby that was being born, to injuries, to psychiatric problems. So pretty much I feel like that's where my base still is, even after all these years. During those years, my husband and I had 5 children, and it just got hard to manage hospital hours. So I went to more evening jobs like teaching CPR first aid, and that wasn't really my cup of tea. I am more of a family health nurse. So then I started teaching prepared childbirth ed classes, which led me into maternity support services nursing for several years, doing home visits. And then some clinical nursing. And one night I was working late there, and Melanie Wallace was sitting in the waiting room with something for one of our doctors to sign. And she looked exhausted, and I said, "You look like you need some help." And she said, "Would you be willing to help me?" And that was my dream. And they created this job at Quincy School District and brought me on, and that's been 15 years ago. So she taught me so much, and I've been learning every day ever since.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Ellen Bush, and I've been RN for 38 years after this year. Most of those years were actually spent in just a variety of healthcare settings, from clinic to hospital. I think the setting that may have done me the most good in terms of preparation for school nursing was walk-in clinic. But nevertheless, all of the different settings had something to contribute. 5 years ago, I just honestly kind of got tired with hospital nursing, and it had always been my dream to come to Quincy School District and work with my sister. And so I applied and got the job, and it was a really good decision. It was a great way to finish off a nursing career, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you for sharing. So we'll get right to the questions. The first one is, what impact do you think school nurses make in supporting the health and academic success of students?
I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the mental health piece and how nurses can make a difference with that. And that's kind of my passion, actually, is helping with that type of thing. I think nurses have a different viewpoint. I have been learning all these 15 years that medical and educational does mesh, but sometimes we have a completely different lens that we see things through. So sometimes we're brought in early, sometimes we're brought in late to children that are struggling emotionally or socially or mentally. And we can maybe see things as an outsider that can lead to getting help for that child. And I've seen this often through the years. If a child is not feeling well in those ways, they're just not going to be able to sit still and learn and cooperate and behave in the same way that most of their peers are. And so I think we can help them a whole lot and help the school to sort out what's really going on. Is it behavior? Is it choice? Or is it that they're not feeling well in some way, or things aren't well at home? So anyways, that's been a fun challenge and fulfilling.
So in terms of the physical aspect of the students, there's some students that really don't require any interaction with the school nurse at all, apart from just verification of their vaccines, and in times like pandemics, hopefully keeping them from getting infected with an illness. But apart from that, they're just good to go. But there's also a whole large group of students who have either some sort of disability or medical condition that actually would make it really difficult for them to be in school, or maybe even completely prevent them from being in school if it weren't for the fact that interventions were in place. And so the nurse's job in terms of figuring out what's going on with that student what the student needs, and then coming up with a plan to meet those needs, and then training the staff how to go forward with that plan. All of those pieces come together to help that student actually be in school and kind of minimize the hindrances that their condition might bring to their school day, but also just to support them so that they can actually be in school. So the impact for those kids is great.
Yeah, super, thank you. Question number 2. Over the past 2 years, schools and communities have dealt with the COVID pandemic, adding many stressors and work responsibilities to the school nurse role. What inspired you and other school nurses to persevere and come to work each day?
Personally, our mom and dad always taught us that things can get really hard in life, but if you keep going and you keep swimming, eventually things always do get better. And you know what? They were pretty much always right. And so there's that personal disbelief, and that kind of guides my life in many ways. Professionally, I'm part of a team, and I'm one piece of that team. And when a whole team is not there and not reliable, then everyone struggles and suffers. And so these people are my friends, and I wanted to be there for them.
Great.
I would have to say that my answer is similar to that. It really was that we knew without a doubt that the staff really needed us. There was many ways that we were supporting them, that if we weren't there, it just would have made their job so much more difficult and confusing and stressful. So,
Yeah.
so we were able to support them that way.
Great, thank you. Question number 3. What do you consider are the greatest contributions school nurses have made in response to the pandemic?
I think that we have, in certain ways, been the one that people have turned to the most, just because of the initials behind our name. And we learned along with everybody else, but we were able to take the time to attend meetings to learn all the different protocols, all the different warnings, all the different requirements, and be able to advise and sometimes even protect the front office staff. We did a lot of trainings as the different protocols rolled out, and just help people to sort out unusual situations. We talked to a lot of parents that maybe didn't agree with protocols, and that's why I say we maybe kind of were there as a protective line. But like I said, we're the ones that seems to be turned to as the experts, even though we didn't feel like it.
Yeah, many times.
We had access to the expert.
Yeah. So yeah, interpreting and implementing guidelines. It's one thing to see a nice set of guidelines, but another thing to figure out, okay, how are we going to implement these within a school setting? And so figuring all that out, coming up with processes, and then training the staff was a big one. But in addition to that, we were in a position to be able to provide a lot of reassurance to staff, and not just staff, but families and students. That it was a scary time. We all kind of got used to it, but there was a lot of fear. And so just needing reassurance about the illness itself, and also about, am I doing a good enough job? Did I do this wrong? It was a really tough time for the staff. So supporting them that way. Also empathy, being able to understand what they're going through, and just be there with them and for them. And then I think just imparting a sense of calmness. There was a real tendency to feel overwhelmed and panicky. And, if you've been in the nursing field for a while, you kind of learned that you just stay calm and get through it, one foot in front of another. And maybe that's kind of a skill you develop. So just to be able to kind of impart that to the staff, I think was really helpful.
And if I can add one more thing, I think too that often we were the voice of reason, because even though things were written out on paper and we knew what it said, sometimes it just really did not apply to a situation. And so we had to think reasonably, how can we follow these guidelines, within what we're really dealing with in real life here. So that was part of that calm, I think.
Question number 4. As school nurses prepare for next school year, how do you think the National Association of School Nurses 2022 School Nurse Day theme, Bridging Healthcare and Education, will influence school nurse work?
Well, I guess I have always seen that motto of being the bridge as the primary role of the school nurse. The pandemic did derail us from that. And I know in our nurse meetings, there was often comments about, man, I wish I could just be a school nurse instead of a pandemic nurse. So now there's the opportunity to get back to that and just realize the importance of what you have in terms of being that bridge and what a difference that makes for the kids.
And I do feel like that bridge was made stronger by what we all just walked through together. And I think that the different disciplines have more respect for each other now and more camaraderie to meet the same common goal. So maybe that's one good thing that will come out of it and have a stronger bridge.
All right, thank you. And last but not least, question number 5. As you prepare to retire at the end of this year, what advice can you share with school nurses as they return to their positions next year?
Okay, I think enjoy the children. That's what this is all about. Enjoy your friendships. Those are the things that I know I'm going to miss probably the most, the teamwork. And then just remembering that we don't know whatever is around the corner. We don't know if pandemic's going to flare back up or if something else might come along to surprise the educational community. But just knowing that these last couple of years, everybody has stayed strong and banded together, and that will give strength to face whatever challenges come. But I really hope life can get back to normal.
And I guess I would say from time to time, just fast forward in your mind to the end of your career and look back and ask yourselves, what things did I do that really made a difference? What were really important? And I don't think that you're going to say the beautiful way that I formatted a protocol that I handed in or something like that is going to be important. You're going to remember specific children and instances that happened with them. And so my advice would be to stay focused on the kids. There's a lot of things that can distract us from that, I think, in any healthcare setting, but maybe more so in schools because of all the politics of education and so many other things going on at the same time as your interactions with the kids. So yeah, stay focused on them, connect with them, and have fun. Those are the things you'll remember and value.
Thank you. Lenore and Ellen, it has been great connecting with you. We thank you for your years of service and wish you all the best in your last weeks in Quincy School District and in your retirement plans. Thank you for participating in this 2022 School Nurse Day event.
Thank you.